Okay, so good afternoon. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next application of OPAM, and that is nothing but differentiator. Yesterday and today morning, we discussed about integrator. So just opposite to that, the next one is OPAM as an differentiator. Okay. So see, actually, to recall that circuit diagram, it is very simple. You will observe only the component gets interchanged. In case of an integrator, there was a feedback capacitor, while at the input side there is one input resistor, that is R1, right now. So that input resistor of inductor of that integrator, it is replaced by capacitor, and feedback capacitor, it is replaced by feedback resistor. Okay. Whatever output we will get, that output, it will be a differentiation of applied input signal. Okay. So that we will derive same as that of previous applications, few basic points, common points that again you have to remember, recall over here. Like as the input impedance of op-amp, it is infinite. The input current, that is input offset current, we can call, or the current flowing through inverting terminal and non-inverting terminal, that is I2 and I3, as shown here, both will be zero. We'll consider somewhat input signal applied to the inverting terminal through a capacitor. So through that capacitor, whatever current will flow, we will call it as IC. Input current as IC as it is flowing through capacitor, right? Then, as per virtual ground concept, the potential at non-inverting terminal, that is VA, will be equals to VB, and that is nothing but zero in this case also. So these are the few basic common points that you have to remember and you have to write. If anyone application get asked, then these points are important. Okay. So see, here again, you can write as Ri equals to infinite, I2 equals to I3 equals to 0. Okay. Similarly, by virtual ground concept, you can write VA equals to VB equals to 0. Okay. Now, by applying KCL at node B, we can write IC equals to I2 plus IF. If you apply KCL, then you will have this current equation, right? Now, as I2 is mentioned as 0, we can write IC is equals to IF. Is it okay? Okay. So are you agree with this? IC equals to IF? Yes or no? Are you agree with this equation? IC equals to IF. Okay, so what is that IC? What is the equation for current flowing through the capacitor? Can we write it like this? IC equals to that capacitance of capacitor, that is C1 into d by dt of voltage across that capacitor. So I will write it as dVc by dt. Okay. Now, what is the voltage across capacitor? That is equals to C1 into d by dt of V in minus VB. This is the potential difference across that capacitor. As VB is equals to 0 due to virtual ground concept, therefore at the end we will write IC equals to C1 into d by dt of V in. Okay, this is nothing but current flowing through the capacitor. Similarly, we have to write the equation for IF. So can anyone? IF equals to we applied such type of analysis in so many applications. So can anyone? What is IF? Looking towards circuit diagram. Again, it is the potential difference across resistor RF divided by the resistance of that resistor, right now. So IF equals to, we can write VB minus VO divided by RF, right? Therefore, we can write IF equals to, as VB is 0, is equals to minus VO by RF. Okay. Now just compare these two equations. As we noted, IC equals to IF, right? So we can write that minus VO by RF is equals to C1 into d by dt of V in. Okay. And hence, final equation for output voltage, that is VO equals to minus RF into C1 into d by dt of V in. So simple derivation. Here by this equation we can comment that output voltage, it is the derivative of input signal and RF into C1 times. Okay. So this is nothing but the output voltage equation for ideal differentiator, right? But see, looking towards this circuit diagram, same as that of integrator, if we change the input signal frequency, output will going on to affect or not? What do you think? Just let me know from your side. The shown circuitry, is it frequency dependent or not? Frequency dependent means what? If we change the input signal frequency, the response of the shown circuit will going on to affect or will remain same. Can anyone? And to work out for such statement, remember one simple trick as we are considering to change.
Check it at your end. Is it visible, Blackboard?
Yes.
Okay. So see, I asked one question looking towards the shown circuit diagram. Will it be frequency dependent or not? Yes, it will be, because as the capacitor is connected in series, just imagine if the input signal frequency is 0 Hertz. Okay. So whenever it will be 0 Hertz, this capacitor, it will go on to act as an open circuit. Correct? And whenever it will go on to act as open circuit, as the shown configuration is inverting configuration. For inverting amplifier, as we know, the gain is equals to minus RF by R1. Okay. So if that R1 is infinite, or it will go on to provide the infinite reactance, so that gain will become unstable, or we can say the output will be 0, right? As it will go on to act as open circuit. Similarly, if that input signal frequency is very high, right? Very high means at a particular frequency, just imagine the reactance provided by the capacitor, it goes to zero. Instead of open circuited at very, very high frequency, the reactance offered by this capacitor, it will become almost zero. Again, looking towards the formula for gain of the inverting amplifier, it is Rf by R1. If that R1 is equals to zero, then gain will become infinite, right? That means we can say that ideal differentiator have some drawbacks. At low frequency or at 0 hertz, or we can say at very high frequency, it becomes unstable. So to provide the frequency stability to the shown circuit, few modifications are there in the ideal differentiator, and that modifications are like this. So across this feedback resistor, connect one capacitor. Feedback capacitor, that is nothing but CF, and similarly in series with that C1, connect here one series resistor and call it as R1, and then apply the input. Now this circuitry provides the frequency stability or stability against the variation in input signal frequency. Okay, so how it will going on to provide, that I will explain now. So first of all, we'll see the frequency response of ideal differentiator. Okay. So I will consider gain in decibel. Suppose 0 dB is over here, and later on, if it is negative gain, for example, minus dB, etc. Okay. So what we discussed, as we will go on to change the frequency from 0 to onward, gain also will start to increase, because at 0 hertz, this capacitor will go on to act as an open circuit, and that's why no output we can obtain. That means the gain will be 0. Okay. And at very, very high frequency, in ideal differentiator amplifier, the gain will be infinite, so it becomes unstable. Okay. So you will observe that frequency response somewhat like this. It will be continuously rising in nature, and that circuit becomes unstable. Okay. So in this case, the frequency at which the gain becomes 0 dB, that particular frequency is known as FA, right? And where that gain becomes infinite, that means the circuitry, it becomes unstable. Okay. Now to provide that stability, as already I shown, a parallel capacitor in feedback path, that is CF, is connected, and one series resistor in series with input, and that input capacitor is connected, R1, so that the frequency response of the same differentiator becomes somewhat like this. Okay. So this is nothing but the frequency response of practical differentiator, the second one. So I shown one frequency over here, after which there is a decrease in gain. Gain starts to decrease. Okay. That means that differentiator do not become unstable. Okay. So this frequency FB, it is known as a gain limiting frequency of that differentiator. Right? Now same as that of our practical integrator, FA is equals to 1 upon 2 pi RF into C1. By this formula, we can easily calculate that frequency at which the gain of that differentiator, it becomes 0 dB. Similarly, FB, it is the frequency at which or after which the gain of the differentiator starts to decrease, or it is also known as a gain limiting frequency, is equals to 1 upon 2 pi RF CF, or we can take that FB equals to 1 upon 2 pi R1 C1 also, right? So this is about the differentiator, ideal differentiator, its disadvantages and how to overcome it. That is nothing but practical differentiator, right? Is it okay? So looking towards this frequency response, if we want to design and develop differentiator, then it should operate between the frequency range, that is FA to FB. Same as that of integrator. In case of integrator also, we are developing that integrator which will go on to work in the frequency range of FA to FB. Now just compare it with the integrator. In case of integrator, if step signal is applied, what we observe, what is the output of integrator? It is ramp output. If positive step signal is there, then there is negative ramp. If negative step voltage or step signal is there, then it will be a positive ramp. And that's why if square wave is applied to the integrator, we can obtain the output as triangular. The same if we consider for differentiator, that means if a step signal is applied, the output of differentiator is just a spike, right? So for a square wave to the differentiator, the obtained output will be in terms of spikes only. Okay. Now we'll go for next application, and that is instrumentation amplifier. Open at instrumentation amplifier. Okay, so this is the basic circuit diagram for this next application, and that is nothing but instrumentation amplifier. So 3 op-amp base, the shown circuitry is known as instrumentation amplifier, right? You will observe the first 2 op-amps, op-amp 1 and 2, are used in non-inverting configuration. So whatever output it will going to provide, that outputs are considered as VO1 and VO2. Okay, and the circuitry formed by that third op-amp, looking towards it, that op-amp is working as what? One of the applications today morning we already discussed. Just try to correlate it. Third op-amp, it forms which type of application? Can anyone? It is a difference amplifier. 2 inputs are applied to its inverting and non-inverting terminals, right? That 2 inputs are nothing but the 2 outputs of that separate op-amp, right now. Before going to that derivation part, see, as the op-amps are used in non-inverting configuration, it will go on to provide very high input impedance. That means impedance offered by the circuitry, input impedance, it is very, very high due to the op-amp in non-inverting, right? In few applications such as sensors and transducers, they are very weak signal sources. That means if we have to process the signal coming from somewhat transducers, then that signal is very weak. So to handle such type of very weak signal or signal source, the amplifier circuit input impedance, it should be as high as possible to avoid the loading effect of that source, and that is nothing but transducer, right now. So this circuitry, its feature is it provides a very high input impedance as well as the gain of the circuitry. It is easily adjusted by using this variable resistor, and that's why it is shown as a variable. So this resistor RG, by varying it after derivation, I will clarify it. Just by changing the value of this RG, we can easily manage. Okay, we can easily manage the gain of this complete circuitry, right? Now, looking towards this difference amplifier, actually we are interested in this VO, right now. So, how much will be VO? Today morning we derived that equation. So for difference amplifier, that VO is equals to feedback resistor divided by input resistor. Here I mentioned that feedback resistor as R2 because RF1, RF2 already are mentioned over here, and that's why. Okay. And input resistor, again it is same for both input terminals, and that is R1. So R2 by R1 in bracket, the difference between input terminal. So the non-inverting terminal, as it is powered by VO2, so we have to write VO2 minus VO1, right now. Now, how much is VO2 or how much it will be VO1 and VO2, that we have to derive. Okay. Again, same concept. See, we can write as input current to the op-amps are 0. Okay. V in for first op-amp, it is applied to the non-inverting terminal. Input current, that is I3, that will be equals to 0. Then by virtual ground concept, VA, that will be equals to VB. Okay, VA, that will be equals to VB, and what is VA? VA is nothing but V in 1, right now. So see, VA equals to VB, and what is VB? VB is nothing but voltage at this node, that is node G, right now, that is equals to VG, and that will be equals to V in 1. Similarly, voltage at node D, that is VD equals to voltage at node C, that is equals to voltage at node H, and that is equals to V into. That is by virtual ground concept. Now, consider there is a flow of current through the series combination of these three resistors, that is RF1, then RG and RF2. Consider that current as I. Okay. And how much will be the value of that I? That I is nothing but the potential difference across that series combination of resistor divided by total resistance of that resistors, right? So we can write that I is equals to VO1 minus VO2 divided by RF1 plus RG plus RF2. We have to write the equation for current, that is I equals to, it is the potential difference across that series combination of three resistors, right now. And what is potential difference? It is VO1 minus VO2 divided by total resistance is RF1 plus RG plus RF2. Okay. If that RF1 is equals to RF2 is equals to RF, simply we will call it as RF. Therefore, the equation for current, it will become I equals to VO1 minus VO2 divided by twice of RF plus RG, right? This will be the total output current flowing through that series combination, right? Is it okay? Are you there? Okay. Now consider the node G and H. The current flowing through resistor RG, that is also I, that we can write I equals to VG minus VH divided by RG. Okay. And what is VG and what is VH? You will observe that VG is nothing but V in 1 and VH is nothing but V in 2. So the same current we can write equals to V in 1 minus VH is nothing but V in 2 divided by resistance RG. Look it properly. Okay. So just equate these two equations for I. That is nothing but VO1 minus VO2 divided by twice of RF plus RG. And second one, that is again for I, V in 1 minus V in 2 divided by RG. Okay. So I will write over here VO1 minus VO2 divided by twice of RF plus RG equals to, what is another equation for I? That is V in 1 minus V in 2 divided by RG. By equating these two equations for I. Okay. So here we can simply write VO1 minus VO2 equals to twice of RF plus RG into Vin1 minus Vin2 divided by Rg. Correct? So see, we already mentioned the equation for output voltage is equals to R2 by R1 into the difference between two inputs. That is nothing but difference between two output of first two op amps. That is VO2 minus VO1. But whatever equation we got, it is in terms of VO1 minus VO2. Right now. So multiplying both sides by -1, we can write, see the same equation I have to write it like this, VO2 minus VO1 equals to, I will write it, we'll start from here, that will be Vin2 minus Vin1 divided by Rg into this term as it is, that is twice of Rf plus Rg. Okay. Now put this VO2 minus VO1 over here so that you will get the equation for output voltage, that is VO equals to, I will write here, therefore VO equals to R2 by R1 in bracket, I will write that complete equation, Vin2 minus Vin1 divided by Rg into twice of Rf plus Rg. Okay. So simply just by rearranging the terms, again we can write that is equals to R2 by R1 in bracket Rg plus twice of Rf divided by Rg into Vin2 minus Vin1. Right. So again we can write it like this. I will keep that R2 by R1 as it is in bracket 1 plus twice of Rf by Rg into Vin2 minus Vin1. So this is the final equation for output voltage of this instrumentation amplifier. So from this equation, you can easily conclude the value of this Rg, it will easily be able to set the gain of this amplifier, right? So whenever we will be able to change this Rg, output voltage will get changed. And that's why it is shown as a variable resistor, right? Is it okay?